Are you challenging me?
Hello and thank you for joining me on Strength for Tomorrow Radio. It's episode 50. We made it. Can you believe it? So we've been doing this for over a year now. Took a couple of weeks off here and there, but more or less we've done one show every week for the last 12 months. I didn't know if I could do it, but we made it. Getting there. Soon I'll have 52 and that'll be like the full year of shows. I think I maybe missed like 4 or 5 across the year, which isn't bad, all things considered, considering how busy life is, which is ironic because that's what we're going to discuss today in the show. Hope you have enjoyed the ride as much as I have. If this is your first time listening, welcome, very welcome. If you're a regular, thank you for spending your time with me and for listening more than once. It really does, it means so much to me. It makes it worth doing, although I'll probably do it even if there's nobody listening, but it's good fun. Glad there are people listening. It's kind of crazy when you see the stats on Spotify and it tells you where all people are from and you get some random listeners. I don't know how to understand my accent, but you get them from like Mauritius and like Singapore and all over the world. Places like you have to look up on the map and try and figure out where they are actually on the globe. So last week we talked about NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and how that can make a major difference if you are trying to get slimmer or you're trying to manage your weight long term. We discussed simple ways to manipulate this into your lifestyle without too much extra thought or extra effort. This week, we are going to base it around one thought. It's basically a challenge. I find it challenging anyway, and I'm sure you will do. This week, I'm asking you this question. How are things? How are you? Because 9 times out of 10, whenever I ask someone, how are you? They will say, very busy, it's very busy. The word busy will always come up. What if instead of using the word busy, what if we focused, what if we actually used the word focused or intentional or purposeful? What if we had a different description of what our lives looked like when someone asked us how we are? And what would that look like? What would that, how would that show itself? And how do we go about making that happen? I found it challenging, and yeah, stick around and see what I have to say and see if you can apply it to your life and your situation. So this begs the question, why are we busy? Why are all of us busy? Basically, anyone over the age of 18, we're all busy. And even kids under the age of 18 who are doing exams and stuff, they'll start describing their lives as busy. Busy studying, busy going to football, busy going to rugby, busy going to dance, busy going to singing, busy going to see their friends, whatever. Busy working in some cases. But all of us are busy to some extent, aren't we? From the youngest to the oldest. Even people who are retired who tell you that they're retired just so they could be less busy, so they could take a break, so they could take things easier. They're busy. Even they're busy. Grandparents, suddenly they're looking after the grandkids. Suddenly they just find stuff to do, right? They find stuff about the house to do. They find things that need improving, from the gardening in the house, out of the house, meeting up with friends. It's amazing. Having quite a few older clients here at the gym, and they're like, "Oh, what are you getting up to this week?" or "What are you getting up to today?" And they list off a whole ream of stuff, and it just makes my head spin because I'm thinking, you're in your 60s and your 70s, and you're busier than probably I am in my 30s, which is crazy. But we're all busy, right? And in 2022, we have lots of different things, bits of technology that came about promising that we would be less busy. So maybe microwaves, cooks your food in the flash, right? Cars, they're faster, more comfy, more convenient than ever. Dishwashers, ovens, air fryers are the big thing now, right? Everyone's got an air fryer, and you get your food cooked in no time at all. Laptops getting faster processing power, you're able to get things done quicker. Smartphones, you're able to quickly do things. You don't have to go to the bank, you can do it on your phone. You can look up the weather, you can use it as a calculator, obviously phoning people instead of having to walk to their house or go to the landline, wait until you get home. You can do it anywhere, anyhow. Messaging people, there's just so many different ways to communicate, right? All of these little devices and gadgets are designed to save us time, and it seems like we have less time than ever. We've still got 24 hours though, right? We've still got 24 hours in the day. None of that has changed. Some of us, if you've got kids, you're running your kids here, there, and everywhere. It's funny, I was on the phone earlier to a lady who's thinking about joining the gym to be doing some personal training to become a client, and it's been tough trying to get in contact with her and to get messages back and forth through email to try and set up a meeting just for 20 minutes, because she's just pulled from pillar to post. And that's not uncommon. That is like a common theme with lots of parents who come to the gym and who train at the gym. They're driving their kids to soccer, to Gaelic, to rugby, to dance, to music lessons, to one thing or another. Kids are doing a lot of stuff, right? And I'm not going to tell anybody how to parent. I'm not going to tell anybody that their kids should be doing less things. That's not what this is about, and that's not my intention. Everybody has their own views on how they parent, which is great, and I'm certainly in no position to tell anybody how they should parent. But it's just mad. The point is that it's mad how much stuff there is to do now and all the places we have to go. And it's no wonder over the last 2 years so many people suddenly enjoyed not having anywhere to go or not having anywhere to be whenever the government forcibly told you under threat of arrest or fine that you can't leave your house. There's quite a few people enjoyed it. There's a lot of people who are like, oh, this is terrible, isn't it? But at the same time, they didn't really care. Now, obviously, business owners and people who were trapped in a small house, in a flat or something, terrible experience for them. But for a lot of people, if you had a big house, big garden, lived in the country, lived near somewhere scenic, wasn't that bad, was it, for a lot of people? Because they just got to take their foot off the gas for a while, and they were able to get paid furlough and that. I don't want to get to like a COVID rant around here, but it's kind of telling that people enjoyed that little bit of a break where they couldn't meet up with as many people as they usually do. They maybe couldn't go to all those social things that were on for their kids and sports and one thing or another. It was almost like a nice, like a relief. So that's quite telling. So that basically answers the question of why are we busy? We're busy doing all of that stuff, right? We're busy running about, driving about here, there, and everywhere, taking our kids to this, taking our kids to that. But there's all of those things, but at the same time, for a lot of us, and again, this is quite personal, so I'm making a big generalization, but for a lot of us, if we actually sat down and audited our time and how we spend it every day, every week, every month, across the year, I would say a lot of us would find that we spend a lot of our time on our phones, browsing, maybe watching Netflix, or just watching stuff on Facebook, videos, YouTube, Instagram, Reels, you name it, TikTok. I guarantee you, you know that little trick you can go on your phone and see how your time's been spent on your phone, your activity. A lot of us, I think, would be feeling a little bit embarrassed if we went on all of a sudden. Don't stop the podcast, you can do it after, but go and have a look, see how your time's spent, see where most of your battery power is going on your phone. I guarantee you it's not doing banking, and it's not doing looking at the weather forecast, and it's not doing things like that. It's probably browsing. For most of us, 99% of us, I would say it's browsing. So that begs the question, what are we doing with our time, and what are we doing in the time that we have that we don't have to be doing all those things where it's taking our kids here, there, and everywhere? What are we doing with it? And how can we make better use of it? And those are things I'm not going to tell you. This isn't what this episode is about. It's more to make you think or to challenge you a little bit, because this really challenged me. This thought really stirred me up and got me thinking about my own situation and about whether my life could be described as busy or whether it could be described as focused or intentional. And it was coming out on the busy side. It was being busy sometimes for no apparent reason, just being busy, just doing things I've always done and filling up with stuff. Now, I try not to, but on the other hand, it might be busy but aimlessly busy, so there's no real strategy or purpose to it. Sometimes you have your head down and you're swimming, but you don't really know where you're going, and that can be an issue as well. So for a lot of us, we're kind of paddling away, and we haven't actually took the time to look up and go, are we going in the right direction? If you've ever seen the movie Dumb and Dumber, it's a bit like whenever Lloyd and Harry set across to go and find the lady who left her briefcase behind, to go to Aspen, and they end up like was it 1/6 of the country in the wrong in the wrong direction, like hundreds of miles away where they're supposed to. And it's easy to get in the car, it's easy to drive, but whether you're going the right direction or not, it's kind of important. And that I think goes for a lot of us in life. And you can apply this principle if you want to any aspect of human existence. You can apply it to your family situation, your marriage. You can apply it to your career. You can apply it to your finances. You can apply it to saving money, whatever. You can apply it to lots of different areas. But for me, I want you to try and apply it to your health and your fitness. That's my interest and my goal of this podcast, is to help you with that. So if you were to do a bit of a time audit and try and track your time throughout the day, how are you spending your time? How many breaks are you taking to go on your phone and to figure about with that? Are you procrastinating? Lots of us procrastinate. I remember coming to the exam time, best time to procrastinate, right? Or if you've got a report to do and you've got, you'll find a million other things you'll get your head into and you'll do. You'll clean the house, you'll do whatever, but to study and to sit down and to write a report or to write some sort of an essay, I could find a billion other things to do, lots of other stuff to do, and the house never looked so tidy. The house never looked so clean, but it didn't help get the report done. So are you procrastinating or using your time to procrastinate? So instead of doing the workout, instead of preparing your meals, instead of prepping your meals, are you procrastinating? Are you cleaning things that don't really need to be cleaned because you can wait a few days? Will the house fall apart if you don't get that wall or don't get that skirting board cleaned? Probably not. So what are you using? What are you putting in place of doing a workout or preparing your meals or getting to sleep at night? Are you procrastinating doing other stuff because you just you kind of don't want the dead end and you kind of just like moseying about instead of going to sleep and getting a good 8+ hours? All questions that I'm kind of asking myself, because there's a lot of stuff applies to me in this as it might do to you, because I don't think I'm that weird or that different. I think we're all very much the same in how we spend our days in this 21st century. It is the 21st century, isn't it? Always confuses me that. I mean, why not just say 20th century, because we're in the 20s? Always confused me. I was never going to be good at history because of that. Now, at the same time, I have lots of clients and I have some people in my life who I know who are I would call high performance people. I used to have a couple of bosses when I worked at the University of Ulster in Korea, and I used to have a couple of bosses, and I would describe them as high performance people. They were just people that got stuff done. They could write anything in no time. They could, no matter how complicated or how complex the topic was, they would get it done. They would not procrastinate like I did. They would just get stuff done. And I have people who come to my gym, people who I'm really, really blessed to know and to be able to train, that are not procrastinators. They're just go-getters. They're people who have the same 24 hours as I do. They have the same 24 hours as you do, and they just get after it. They make things work. They own the day. They don't let the day own them. They run the day. They don't let the day run them. Some of them get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and drive crazy lengths to do work, to get work done. They arrange their day in that way because it works for them and it works for whoever they're working for and working with. There's other ones who they'll get they'll get a run in, they'll get a cycle in, they'll get a swim in, and they'll still come to the gym. Plus they're working 9 to 5. They just organise their day. They either get up earlier or go to bed later, but they organise their time, they organise their day in such a way that is going to get things done and get the things done that are important to them. They prioritise, and that's a challenge, right? That's challenging for me. Am I prioritising? I can't see myself getting up at 6 a.m. to go and do a workout. It just doesn't appeal to me. I don't want to do weights at 6 a.m. 6 p.m. fine, 9 p.m. fine, even 10, 11 p.m. I could do it then. But someone once said, you get the things done first that are important to you. So you're gonna prioritize the things that are most important to you, and that applies no matter what time of the day. If you have to get something done, that something matters to you, you're gonna get it done one way or the other. You're not just gonna go to bed and not get it done. Now it might be important, but you might not want to do it. So those are two different things. If you want to get it done, many people suggest you get up first and do it first. Get it done early. And then if there's time restrictions, say you have to bring your kids to a certain place at a certain time, how are you fitting that other thing in around that? How are you fitting your workout in? How are you fitting your meal prep in? If Sunday's only day you can do meal prep, what are you going to do on Sunday? Because it probably should be meal prep, right? You should be preparing your meals for the week. You should be freezing it. You should be trying to think about what foods can you make on a Sunday that you're going to be able to eat throughout the week and not be sick of. It's going to freeze okay, that's going to keep okay. It's trying to think about all those things, right? Basically what I'm trying to say is there's people who are busier than me and you out there who are able to get more done than me and you. And I realise again I'm casting generalizations here, because you could be listening and you're a top end high performing person, unlike me. But if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I've no time, I need to get this done, I need to get that done, no time to work out, don't time to train, don't stress. Don't stress. Think about one thing at a time. Instead of trying to commit to like doing six workouts a week, how about committing to maybe 3 30-minute workouts first and go from there? Just build it up. But what I'm trying to say is prioritize. Try and prioritize whatever it is important to you. And we're going to get to why that's important in a little bit. So, I think I mentioned at the start, but I was reading a book recently. My wife got it for me for Christmas. It's kind of like a leadership book, but it's by a guy called Jared Lopez. If you want to look him up, you can do if you're interested in it. But it was him that kind of got me started thinking about this and thinking about living a busy life or a focused life. So I was reading the last chapter last night. That's how long it takes me to read a book. It's not even a long book. I got it in December and it's June now. Got it read on the 1st of June. So what's that, like what, January, February, March, like 5 months. 5 months took me to read a small, short little book. I haven't read other things in between it, but I'm just a slow reader. Anyway, he was basically saying, people were asking him, how do you get so much done? Like, you're so busy with all these things. And he said, I'm really good at saying no. And his friend kind of laughed with him. But that's a massive point, and that's a really important thing for us to think about is, are you just saying yes to everything? What are you saying no to? Because it's trying to weed out the things that you don't need to be doing, the things that you don't need to say yes to. It's trying to say no more often and focus on the few things that are worthwhile, that are going to lead you to whatever version or vision of yourself you want to see in the future. And that's going to get us going into another topic very soon, but you need to get good at saying no. I need to get better at saying no. I think I have got better at saying no in recent years. Starting a business, I had to say no to a lot of things. I had to say no to a stag party because I was starting the business off whenever I was about to get married as well. So I didn't have a stag party. I had to say no to friends for quite a while because I was busy every weekend. I was tired every weekend because I was working long days. And sometimes it takes that to get things going, to get things moving. Say no to things that you want to do, but you know you don't have time for because you're prioritizing something else. So if you're setting up a business, you're running a business, there's certain things you're going to have to say no to. If you want to go to the football maybe on a Saturday, but your kids want you to do this, you maybe, as a parent, you maybe need to say no to whatever you want to do and be a bit more selfless and go with what your kids want to do. If your wife wants to go shopping and you don't want to go shopping, sometimes you have to prioritize that and put yourself second. I'm not saying that I do that every time. I'm not claiming to be the perfect husband, but what I'm saying is that we need to prioritize. We need to say no to other things that get in the way of either you getting your training sessions in, getting your meals prepared, getting your walking in, getting your steps up, whatever it is, getting to sleep at night, making sure you're eating plenty of protein. Just trying to say no to certain foods so you can say yes to the correct foods, right? So it's saying no to most things and saying yes to a few important things. And again, that applies to lots and lots of stuff. It's saying no to 90% of foods and saying yes to 10% of good quality foods. It's saying no, maybe even to doing too much training because you want to say yes to the right type of training and the quality focused training that you know is going to make a difference. If you're just exercising for the sake of it, for burning calories, but your goal is to get stronger, that's not going to be, it's not going to marry together very well, is what I'm trying to say. So get good at saying no I need to get better at saying no, even from a business perspective. When people approach me and wanting me to do this and sell that and sell this, and I have got better. At the start, I was just like, even like for clients, if people approach me and I know we're not going to be a good fit, I know either they're not personality wise, we're not going to click. At the start, when I was starting to train people, I probably said yes to everybody. I was just like so glad people would train with me. Whereas I think I have got better over the years at saying no to certain opportunities or certain clients, or they wanted to do this deal or that deal, or they wanted to, try and barter even with regards to payment. Sometimes it's like, it's not going to be worth the hassle, because they're not going to value you as a trainer if they're already starting to devalue your time, or people booking in for sessions and then just not showing up or just not giving you any notice. It's been saying no sometimes to clients, not saying yes to everybody who happens to cross your path. So yeah, get good at saying no. Focus on the few small things. Live with that intentionality whenever it comes to your health and your fitness. And then there's a little exercise that I found really challenging and really helpful. So I wanted to share it with you. But basically, I want to ask you the question: what do you want your life to look like in 1 month, 1 year, 5 years, and 10 years? So that's a bit of a generic and a vague question. And be like, what do you mean? What in relation to what, Stuart? Well, in relation to your health and your fitness, in relation to your standard of fitness, in relation to your how you feel, how you feel mentally, what you're able to achieve fitness wise, blood pressure, medication or lack thereof. You can apply it to lots of different areas, but I want you to think about it in your life, in your terms. There's a quote here I want to share by someone called Matthew Kelly. He had it in a book, and it's quite a famous one, but basically it says, most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a month. We overestimate what we can do in a year and underestimate what we can accomplish in a decade. It's such a good quote, and it's so true. So most of us think we can, we try and plan so much out in a day, and we don't get anywhere near what we wanted to do, and we underestimate what we can do in a month. So if we kept chipping away at something, we could probably get quite a lot done in a month. And then we overestimate what, I guess 1st of January is quite a good example. Everybody's like, oh, I'm gonna use X amount of weight, I'm gonna train every day, and they overestimate what you can do in a year. You're going to turn into a bodybuilder within a year. But then we underestimate what we can accomplish in a decade. And it's so true. You can apply it to lots of scenarios and situations, but especially when it comes to human physiology and fitness and stuff like that. But you can apply it to your family life, as I said, your career, your finances. I want you to apply it to your health and your fitness. I want you to think of it in terms of that. Use it for what other means you want to, but I want you to apply it to your health and fitness. So whenever you cast a future vision of what you want your health and fitness level to look like in a month, a year, 5 years, and 10 years, it gives you something you can aim towards. It gives you something to hold on to. So it's about trying to say no to those things so you can say yes to the important things. Get good at saying no, like we said earlier. It's a powerful little exercise, I think, because it suddenly brings a new level of accountability. Suddenly it makes you more aware of what your current habits are, what your lifestyle is like at the moment, and then you can't help but ask yourself if what you're currently doing is going to help you cultivate the result that you're after in the designated periods of time that you've allotted yourself. It makes you accountable to the vision that you have cast for yourself, if that makes sense. Now, obviously it's important to think of stuff that's actually achievable in the first place in the time frame. So there's no point in setting yourself the goal of, I don't know, becoming the faster than Usain Bolt if you're in your 40s and you haven't run 100 meters since a dog chased you down the street whenever you were a kid, or that time a couple of months ago whenever you were late for the bus and you had to run after it. Not going to happen. Okay, I don't mean to crush your dreams, but it's not going to happen. Get over it. Pick another dream. Those people tell you, dream the impossible and dream big and all that sort of stuff, because then you'll achieve the impossible, and they say it in a really funky voice, usually American accent for some reason. But I'm not going to tell you to do that, basically because that's defined as delusion. But do dream ambitious dreams. I do encourage that. Dream something that's like the quote at the start said, don't underestimate what you can achieve in a decade, and don't underestimate what you can achieve in a month. But leave your most ambitious targets, I would say, for like the decade thing, because that's whenever we do underestimate what we can accomplish. We can get so much done. You could have started a successful business in 10 years, and you could have taken over the world. Pretty much, you could in one sense you'd have scaled every continent in 10 years. That's what's is achievable, and there's people who have done that, which is crazy. So basically what happens is, as you familiarize yourself with your goal or your vision, you start to put it into the context of your current lifestyle. Is staying up until 2 a.m. watching Netflix conducive to your goal of being the healthiest version of yourself in 1 year's time? What do you think? What do you think? Is 5 hours sleep every night going to help you feel amazing in the next month? Do you see how practical it becomes? Is snacking that chocolate bar every night going to help you get into better shape in the next year? Or are those 3 takeaways every week going to help you get your waist down from 45-inch circumference to 34-inch circumference in the next 6 months? See what I mean? So I'm not going to answer those questions for you, because some of those probably aren't going to apply to you. Some of them might. I don't know. But you ask them to yourself and you apply them to yourself. For me, I would ask myself is the question, and you can apply this to you as well: is browsing on my phone for hours going to help me become a better human, a better husband, better father, better business owner? Probably not. Not unless it's really intentional and focused. Not unless it's got a purpose and has limits. It's probably going to do the opposite of those ambitions that I have. It's going to leave me maybe disconnected or colder with my family. I'm going to be tired, drained, lethargic, maybe even frustrated or angry because what I'm seeing on social media, what I'm being fed by the bots on Facebook or whatever, and it's not going to benefit the people around me. So that's something I need to focus on. I need to probably address and do better with. There are so many ways that this can be applied, and there's so many different areas of our existence to try and improve our experience, and our experience of our life and also of those around us. But I would highly encourage you to do this little exercise and put it on a page. Don't skip over this part. Stop the podcast now and go and do it if you need to. Write down each of the headings. So a month, a year, 5 years, 10 years. Do whatever snapshot or whatever amount of time you want, but I would recommend doing those amounts when it comes to health and fitness. So it might be, write those down and write down, start defining and describing what you want your health and your fitness to look like. So it might be your blood pressure. You want to keep your blood pressure at a regular level. Maybe you want your resting heart rate to be down lower. Maybe you want your waist circumference to be smaller, like we said. Maybe you're under running, you want your mile time to come down. Maybe you want to be able to achieve a pull-up. Maybe you can't do pull-ups yet and you want to be able to do a pull-up in a year. Maybe you want to get be able to do a certain weight in a back squat or a deadlift. Maybe you want your muscles to get bigger, your arms to get to a certain circumference, certain size. Whatever it is, write it down, describe it in as much detail as you can, and then hold yourself accountable. Really think about it, because it's in the thinking about it and the concentrating on it that really helps you develop it into your everyday life. It'll make you think about your everyday life a little bit more, and how the things that you're doing today are dictating whether you achieve that or not in the future. Make sense? Let me know how you get on with it. Let me know what your thoughts are on it, whether you think it's helpful, whether you think it's a load of rubbish. I would love to hear your thoughts on it, and even what areas you think you need to work on. Because listen, none of us are perfect. None of us have got this whole thing nailed down. So it's quite a nice little exercise here to be able to just take practical steps to try and better ourselves in some way by doing things that are within our power, within our reach. Okay, news of the week time, and our first story, this is from BBC News. Popped up the other day, 2 days ago, so what's the second you're listening to this? Hopefully on the 3rd of June, and it's by Philippa Roxby, who's a health reporter at the BBC 2 days ago, so that was like 31st of May or something. So the title of it is Best Exercise Time May Differ for Men and Women, Study Suggests, and this is in the health section of bbc.co.uk. Exercise is good for you whenever you do it. but the time of day to achieve the best result may be different for men and women according to a US study. So, seems interesting so far. It found women burned more body fat during morning exercise, whereas evenings counted more for men. Much of what is known on this topic is based on studies on men, the researchers say. Differences in hormones, in biological clocks, and sleep-wake cycles between the sexes could all play a role. The study, this is where I think it gets interesting and where it kind of falls apart, to be honest with you, and how serious we should take it and how much precedent we should give it. Basically, there's the study of 30 men and 26 women. So already, that's not a very big sample. It's a very small sample size for some making claims like this. Study of 30 men, 26 women, all active and healthy, and between 25 and 55 years old, lasted 12 weeks and monitored the effects of a varied fitness program which included stretching, sprint, resistance, and endurance training. It doesn't really give us the details of what those actually, what that means, what type of exercises, but it says here one group. It's interesting, like it lasted 12 weeks, which again, it kind of, for me, it gets rid of much of the usefulness of this study. 12 weeks is not a very long period of time, and a lot of the time, see these, like as soon as you see like these studies, here's what happens. It's done in a university. It's done within an academic calendar. An academic calendar doesn't last very long. They want to get it all finished up before the summer so they get it written up, and 12 weeks is not very long. So 12 weeks is probably as much as you could hope for. And again, all between 25 and 55 years old. So men, okay, there's quite a lot of changes in a man's body between 25 and 55 years old, but women there's even more changes. So that includes everything from pregnancy, perimenopause, menopause. There's a lot going on there in those years. So it's interesting that they didn't kind of highlight that, I guess. Maybe they did later on. We'll keep going. So one group exercised for an hour before 8:30 a.m, so 7:30 a.m, while the other group followed the same activities in the evening between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. All participants followed a specially designed meal plan. The researchers tested everyone's blood pressure and body fat over the course of the study, as well as their flexibility, strength, and aerobic power at the start and end. All those who took part in the study improved their overall health and performance over the 12-week period, no matter when they exercised. So as you'd expect, like that's pretty normal. Your health is going to improve, believe it or not, from exercise. Groundbreaking, eh? The best time for exercise is the best time you can do it and fit into your schedule, says Dr. Paul Arserio. Great advice, Dr. Paul. Lead study author and professor of health and human physiological sciences at Skidmore College, New York State. Skidmore. It's a great name. Sorry, that's just the 10-year-old child in me coming out. But he suggests there is something else going on which may mean the ideal time of day to exercise is different for men and women. Based on the results, women interested in reducing fat around their middle and reducing their blood pressure should aim to exercise in the morning, Dr. Arserio says. This is important because belly or abdominal fat wraps around the body's internal organs, including the liver, and can be dangerous. It's funny how to describe it. It wraps around. I don't think it wraps around. It just either increases or decreases. There's fat tissue already there, and also most of us, men and women, we store our fat in our abdomens as we age. That's not even just genetics. That's like across the board. Pretty much everybody does that. Men do a little bit more in the chest. Women do a little bit more in the hips and thigh area. But he goes on to say, however, he says women trying to improve muscle strength in their upper body as well as their overall mood and food intake should take evening exercise. He says, so we're going to read that again. He says women trying to improve muscle strength in their upper body as well as their overall mood and food intake. Improve muscle strength in their upper body as well as their overall mood and food intake. Not sure what that means. Should take evening exercise. The men in the trial were less sensitive to the time of day. They exercised, improving their strength in the mornings and the evenings. But evening exercise was found to be ideal for men interested in improving heart and metabolic health as well as emotional well-being, says Dr. Arserio. Improving metabolic health means reducing the risk of conditions such as obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and stroke. Yep, we are metabolically unhealthy as a nation. America, UK, Ireland, wherever. It's just across the board. So that's a really important point they're making there, at least. It's not clear exactly why men and women's responses to the timing of exercise were so different, and the researchers say more research is needed to find out more. It's usually a good thing to do, get more research to find out more. They say women may burn more body fat in the morning because they are more likely to have excess belly fat. It's not strictly true, seems a bit sexist to me. The body's internal rhythms may also be a factor. The study published in Frontiers in Physiology tracked people with a healthy weight, but the researchers say the program could also work on people who are overweight or obese. They have more opportunity to benefit. Now, it doesn't say, unfortunately it doesn't say in this story what was the difference. How much of a difference? Like, are we talking 0.01% difference? Are we talking 50% difference? It doesn't actually detail that there. So, bit of a disappointing coverage of the story, but as I said, it's not a very big sample size, so maybe I would call it more like a pre-study. I don't think you can actually, like, I'm not going to start telling all my clients, all my female clients to book in the morning and all my male clients to book in the evening. I think it depends on you, it depends what your preferences are, and it depends on your, like we said in the episode today, it depends what your schedule's like. If something's important to you, generally you do want to get it done first. However, if you just feel better working out in the evening, like I do the evening, you know. But they're saying here, like at the bottom, I'm not sure, but it says they say women may burn more body fat in the morning because they are more likely to have excess belly fat. Like, here's my experience: men and women both have excess belly fat. That's where we tend to store our body fat. That's where it goes first, and it leaves last. We will always have a little bit there. Arms and legs doesn't tend to be as much of a problem. We tend to lose that much earlier. There's people who come to me and be like, Stuart, I want to lose a bit round here, and they'll point to like their abdomen. And the fact of the matter is you can't spot reduce fat. I don't care what this study of 50 odd or 60 people says, because it's not saying very much, to be honest, but you can't spot reduce body fat. You still can't, to no great effect. They haven't said how much of a difference it makes. There's been other studies done that have said, like, if you do cardio, then you do some core training, you can burn like 0.001% extra body fat around your torso. In other words, why bother? Why bother worrying about it? Get in a calorie deficit, like we always say. Do strength training, retain muscle, eat lots of protein, get lots of sleep, recover, and do it regularly. That's the best bet. Whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, those principles apply. And unless you're trying to enter a bodybuilding competition to get like an extra 0.01% body fat off a certain area, then you can maybe start thinking about the details a little bit more. Okay, I've got another news of the week story for you. So this is from the dailyrecord.co.uk. No idea what this one's about, as in like what this paper's about. But for some reason I've got two stories from it this week. And this one's by Luke Weir, and this is on the 29th of May, updated on the 30th of May. Don't know what they did, must have made a mistake. It's called NHS Weight Loss Tips Include Eating More of 2 Types of Food. So that's really a clickbait title, isn't it? It just gets you like straight into the it's like, oh, what are they? What are those 2 types of food? That's why I clicked on it. I was like, what are they recommending? I thought it'd be interesting. So it says losing weight is a challenge which many people struggle with. Ditching unhealthy habits and switching to a healthier lifestyle can prove too challenging for many as they look to slim down. The free NHS weight loss plan is a good place to start to help lose weight in 12 weeks. Is it? We'd be the judge of that, right? Generally, it's not a good place to start whenever it's like they recommend stuff like Slimming World and Weight Watchers. But anyway, additionally, the NHS has published further guidance to those wanting to shift some pounds with a dozen weight loss tips. While some of these are self-explanatory, others could prove surprising and could change your outlook on the whole process. By following this advice, losing weight should be made that much easier and get you into shape for the peak of the summer season. Because that's what it's all about, right? We only want to be slim for the summer because it doesn't really matter the other 9 months of the year, does it? I mean, it doesn't matter if you're metabolically unhealthy for, spring, autumn, winter, You'll be as fat as a fool then. You can let yourself get type 2 diabetes and who cares? At least you're nice looking for the summer. At least your body looked good, even if it was falling apart. Do not skip breakfast. That's their first one. The NHS states that skipping breakfast will not help you lose weight. Instead, it's argued that this will mean you end up snacking more throughout the day due to feeling hungry, while essential nutrients could also be missed. What do we think of that one? I used to think that skipping breakfast was a bad idea. I used to be really militant. Oh, well, not militant, but I would usually recommend people don't skip breakfast. Now, I'm not so sure. There's more and more evidence coming to light, and there's more and more people have stated how beneficial they believe intermittent fasting is. I'm not saying that intermittent fasting is the silver bullet, is the golden ticket. I'm saying that a lot of people benefit from it, having an ordered structure to their eating schedule. So if you don't eat breakfast and you kind of go straight to lunch, like you fast until like 12 o'clock or something, I don't have a problem with that, to be honest with you. So I think it depends. I'm not saying that should be a hard and fast rule for everybody. For some people, I guess if you've got access to snacks, that could lead to that. That's fair enough. Next one is eat regular meals. Another means of avoiding unnecessary snacking is to eat meals at regular intervals. This will increase the rate at which you burn calories. Again, I used to believe this, and I used to think that this was a really important one. I wouldn't encourage people to do this as much anymore, and I'd be careful about who I advise this towards, because for one thing, this was based upon a few studies that were done saying this. If you're eating regularly, it's going to increase your metabolism, so you burn more calories throughout the day. However, if you're eating more calories from your regular meals, then you're kind of outweighing any good. And the studies have shown that it's a negligible amount of extra calories you burn from actually eating regular meat, like really regular meals. So instead of eating 3 meals a day, eating 6 meals a day, the amount of extra calories you burn is very, very small. So you're probably negating any benefit you get from it by eating extra calories. Makes sense? So they're saying, you should eat regular intervals. I get the point about you want to eat regular intervals so you're not starving yourself and then binge eating on some junk later on. As long as you know what you're going to have, I would say it doesn't really matter. Eat when you're hungry, Eat when you're hungry. Make sure you're eating the right things when you are hungry, and make sure you're drinking plenty of water in between. Eat plenty of fruit and veg. Solid advice. This won't come as a surprise to hear that eating a considerable amount of fruit and veg should be a key aspect to a weight loss program. Getting your 5 a day should help lose weight, as they are low in calories and fat and high in fibre, and also contain plenty of vitamins and minerals. 5 a day, I think we've joked about this before, but that's like a government thing. That's not actually a scientific thing. That's a government initiative to get you to eat more fruit and veg. It's not a magic number. If you eat 10, it won't mean that you'll suddenly explode. If you eat 0, it won't mean you'll suddenly explode. I would say eat enough, eat plenty, get lots of variety, because the more the merrier, right? You're going to get lots of benefit from them. Most people are anyway. Get more active. Sorry, go back to that one about fruit and veg. Yeah, they're right. High in fibre. You're going to be low in fat, low in calories, and you're going to get lots of micronutrients, your vitamins and minerals. So fruit and veg are important. Like if you're going to choose between a chocolate bar and a piece of fruit, go with the chocolate. Go with a piece of fruit. Although, having said that, if you're going to have a couple of squares of chocolate, if you eat a banana, you could potentially be eating more calories by eating a banana than eating a little snack, a little chocolate snack. Now, I'm not saying it's the best option. I'm not saying it's a healthy option. I'm saying if you're thinking about calories and losing weight, calories are king, right? So the health benefits of it, that aside, what's more important? Not getting obese, not getting type 2 diabetes, not putting pressure in your joints, not causing inflammation all over your body through obesity. What's your priority? You can probably do both, but the main thing is keep getting in a calorie deficit, right? So the other thing is get more active. Great advice. A diet is only likely to be successful at losing weight and keeping it off if it comes paired with being more active. Exercise can help burn off the excess calories that can't be lost through diet alone. Exercising is actually probably one of the worst ways to try and lose weight, and especially as you get smaller. So as you lose weight, exercise gets less effective. That's why weight training is more important. People talk about exercise. Whenever they say exercise, 99.9% of the time they mean cardio. But training, I would say training is important, because the more muscle you have on, the faster your metabolism is, the more calories you burn at rest, and the less inflammation there's going to be in your body, and it's going to be easier to maintain your health and your weight by carrying more muscle, more active tissue. So sure, get more active, like we said in the show last week. NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So trying to get that up to scratch is important, and trying to make sure that you're not losing out there. Drink plenty of water. I'm always on with clients drinking water. Thirst can often be confused by hunger, and therefore people choose to eat when drink suffice. A glass of water can normally do the trick to avoid exercise. I've been saying that for a long time. It's a great piece of advice. Eat high fibre foods. Food from plants including fruit and veg, whole grain bread, oats, brown rice and pasta, as well as beans, peas and lentils are all good sources of fibre. This type of food stuff can help you keep you feeling full longer, meaning you ultimately end up eating less. Problem is with some of those things, so there's not be fruit and veg, but whole grain bread and white bread are essentially sugar. They're sugary carbohydrates. If you keep them in your mouth long enough, they'll start tasting sweet. Why? Because they're sugar. They're also, on the glycemic index, they're not going to be as beneficial as other things. Brown rice and pasta, again, they're, unless you're measuring them, unless you're keeping the weights and the amounts trackable, it's very easy to eat too much of them. It's easy to overdo them, and I'd be very careful and cautious about advising you to eat lots of pasta or brown rice or oats and whole grain bread. This is all really common advice. This is like in their Eat Well plate and all this sort of stuff. And again, it's not a government initiative that has ultimately failed us, but whole grain bread, oats, brown rice and pasta, the problem with them is it's so easy to overeat on them. It's so easy to overdo our calories through these things alone, unless you're weighing them out. Most of us just pour them out, right? We pour them into the saucepan or we pour them into the bowl, and we don't think about how much there is, how many calories there are and what we're eating there. And if you're doing that regularly, if you're eating some of those things every single day, guess what? Calorie surplus city. You're getting into a calorie surplus without even having to try, without even thinking about it. Thinking you're doing good, thinking you're eating high fibre foods. High protein food is every bit as important as high fibre foods, if not more important, I would say, whenever it comes to trying to lose weight and sustain it. Next one is read food labels. Brilliant. That is really good advice. All the information you need to know about what you're consuming can be found on the label. They can help guide your shopping choices by buying food low in calories to help you fit into your daily allowance. You don't have to buy foods low in calories, okay? You just don't buy foods that are excessively high in calories. So the usual culprits. But yeah, check the calories for sure. But if you're always going for low fat and low calorie options, just be cautious and be aware of the ingredients as well as what the calories are, because sometimes it can fill you up with all sorts of other junk and rubbish that are gonna leave you feeling more hungry. There's going to be a hormonal response and potentially it's going to make you overeat on other things. Use a smaller plate. This is a great trick. I really like this one. It's what they do in buffets all the time to really screw you over. How many times have I gone to a buffet trying to load up a plate and you get this wee pitiful tea dish, it's like a saucer for a cup of tea. Pathetic. But it is a psychological trick to make you think that you're eating more than you actually are. Do not ban foods. Yeah, this is one that's really controversial. It's a contrary to popular belief. Losing weight does not mean you have to ban all of your favourite junk food. Banning them altogether will just make you crave them more, making it more difficult to manage, with there being no problem of having the occasional treat, as long as it doesn't break your calorie allowance. Yeah, that's great advice, and I agree with it, although there's certain people who are addicts, and it's like telling an addict, so if you're addicted to sugar, yeah, you can still have a little bit of sugar. It's like telling a heroin addict, yeah, you can still have a little bit of opium, you know what I mean? Just like, don't overdo it, okay? Don't overdo it. Have a little bit, just shoot up once maybe. It's the same thing when it comes to people with sugar addictions, and seems like quite a severe comparison, but it's true. People get addicted to sugar. Now, obviously, the repercussions are somewhat different and less startling, but the principle applies. Next one is do not stock junk food. And I'm telling this to people for a long time. I'm telling this to clients for a long time. Stocking up on unhealthy snacks such as chocolate, biscuits, crisps, fizzy drinks at home will only increase temptation to break your diet. Opting for healthy alternatives: fruit, unsalted, rice cakes, oat cakes, unsalted and unsweetened popcorn, fruit juice should be adopted instead. All pretty sound advice, apart from like telling you to exact foods to kind of eat. I would definitely swap them. Things like sweeter alternatives like fruit, but I think it's really up to you to decide what you want to spend your calories on, but bulk buy healthy foods. Don't bulk buy and stock up on junk food is my recommendations. Even if it's less expensive, that's kind of the point, isn't it? Right? You want to make it expensive so that it is a treat and it's something that you have as a one-off. Cut down on alcohol. It can be deceptive how many calories are found in an alcoholic drink. For example, there are as many calories in a glass of wine as there are in a piece of chocolate. This is something I missed for years, probably because I don't really drink alcohol at all. And it's like the elephant in the room. A lot of time people were telling me how great their diet was, how much great food they're eating, and all of a sudden, like, their weight was still not going down until we realised that it was the alcohol. It was actually the alcohol that they were drinking at weekends that was sending them into a calorie surplus on average, and their weight wasn't going down. Beer belly wasn't going anywhere. So yeah, focus on alcohol. That's quite a good piece of advice. And then plan your meals. Planning for breakfast, lunch and dinner, as well as occasional snacks for the week, and help ensure you won't exceed your calorie allowance. A weekly shopping and meal list can help with this considerably. So all in all, it's not a bad list, you know. I was impressed. Still don't know what the two pieces of was it fruit and veg they were telling you to eat more of. I think that's what they mean, but not a clickbait title, and I didn't see where it pointed that out. But it's not a bad piece of advice. It's not a bad list. There's a few adjustments and critiques that I would make to it based upon my experience working with clients, and just what we know about human physiology, human psychology, and how the body interacts with certain food groups. But yeah, not a bad list. Right, this is our last News of the Week article, and this is from 26th of May. It's called, and again it's from the Daily Record, but it's called "Woman Who Only Ate Crisp Sandwiches for 23 Years Diagnosed with Serious Illness." Can you imagine my shock when I read this title? Zoe Sadler has scoffed, not just ate, she scoffed, the Daily Record says here. She scoffed Walker's crisps on buttered white bread for almost every meal since she was a toddler. Was it the white bread that did damage, or the crisps? Who knows? Who knows? And there's a photo of Zoe with about 16 plates of crisp sandwiches. She looks really pleased with it, though, for someone who's been diagnosed with a serious condition. A woman who only ate crisp sandwiches for 23 years decided she wanted to make a change after developing a chronic illness. Zoe Sadler had scoffed Walker's crisps on a buttered white bread for almost every meal since she was a toddler. 25-year-old. So she's done it since she was 2. She's 25 now. 25-year-old would polish off. I love the descriptions and the verbs that they use, an adverb. Would polish off 2 packs of her favourite crisps daily, to the point where other foods would make her feel physically sick. However, after being diagnosed with multiple sclerosis 3 years ago, Zoe knew it was time to start taking better care of her health, starting with her diet. She made an appointment with hypnotherapist David Kilmurray. Don't want to publicise David Kilmurray because I'm not sure about hypnotherapy as a means of treatment for things, but here, if it works for you, none of my business. And after just a few sessions, has finally been able to eat a proper meal. Zoe from Coventry explained, "My mum and dad say I tried other foods as a toddler, but I always turned my nose up or refused to put them in my mouth. Apparently the only thing my mum could get down me were crisps, which I used to suck until they were soft. I remember being at school when I was little and having crisp sandwiches in my lunchbox. They were the only thing I liked to eat. I usually had a bowl of dry cereal for breakfast and then a crisp sandwich for lunch. I drew a bowl of dry cereal, like not even getting the benefit of the milk, not even getting the vitamins and the minerals and the protein from the milk, but just like getting dry cereal, like a horse. So horses eat. It's like dry meal. And then a crisp sandwich for lunch and another one for dinner. Sometimes I'd try other flavour crisps because the texture wouldn't bother me." She added, "Christmas was always hard for me because I'd never want to eat very much. I'd never want very much to eat. I'd be able to have a Yorkshire pudding, but never the gravy. What about the turkey? What about the ham? Come on, Zoe." After undergoing 2-hour hypnotherapy sessions, Zoe has been able to enjoy her first taste of fruits and vegetables alongside other foods. She says, "I was diagnosed with MS and I just thought I need to get healthier and feel better. I looked around on the internet and read some articles where David helped other fussy eaters, so contacted him. We had 2-hour sessions, which felt like they lasted 5 minutes each. It's probably because you were out of it, love. And after the second one, I was able to try loads of different foods. Probably felt like 2 hours. Maybe he just told you it was 2 hours and then just changed the clocks. But she says it felt like 5 minutes, probably because you were under a trance. This is a mad story, isn't it? It's just crazy. I can't believe how nice strawberries are. I can't believe how nice strawberries are, and I even tried a Wagamama chili squid, and it was really spicy. I'm looking forward to trying curry and lots of other different foods. That's crazy. You're 25 and you don't even know what curry tastes like. Warehouse operative Zoe, who weighs 9 stone and fits into size 8 dresses, lives with fiance Jason Fox, 28. Jason Fox, great name, celebrity name. Carpenter. Zoe was also motivated to overcome her obsession with crisp sandwiches in time to enjoy a hearty meal at her wedding next March. She said, "I really don't just want to be eating crisp sandwiches on my wedding day. Now I'm looking forward to planning our wedding day menu with Jason." London-based hypnotherapist hypnotizes Zoe after diagnosing her with avoidant restrictive food intake disorder. Who knew there was such a thing? He said, "Huge credit to Zoe in her recovery. Her progress has been phenomenal and has superseded my expectations." So that's crazy. Recently diagnosed with MS, it is dangerous for her to live with a diet of just crisp sandwiches, even if you counteract it with exercise. Straight after hypnotism in the chair, Zoe was open to trying new fruits and vegetables, including cabbage, blueberries, and left with a pot of nuts, cranberries, and several other foods, which she excitedly ate. Wow, what a story! What a great feel-good story to end the podcast on. But yeah, kind of sad that it's taken a serious illness for someone to have to get over something like that. But what a crazy title, and fair play to her for sharing her story. But I can remember whenever I was a kid, I was a terrible eater. I had a terrible eater at school. Didn't like going to the canteen, couldn't be bothered queuing up. I remember getting sent to school with a bag of crisps. I packed it myself, can't blame my parents. An apple and like a bar of something, like a Rice Krispie bar or something, and a bottle of water. Like, that was my lunch. And I didn't really eat anything until I got home again, but I was a terrible eater. Thankfully it was never that bad. If you've got kids that are like that, I must be an absolute torture, right? But yeah, crisp sandwiches, this PT is not going to recommend them. Have you got any weird eating habits? Have you got anything weird that you went through a phase of? I'd love to hear about it. And yeah, let me know. info@crossfunctionfitness.co.uk. I'd love to hear more. That entertains me to win. Or if you have been hypnotized to get over an eating disorder, or an eating just because you wouldn't eat certain foods, or just because you're eating too much food, I'd love to hear about that as well, because it's kind of fascinating. I don't really know enough about it to comment one way or the other, but I don't think it would be for me. But I would love to hear if anybody's listening who've got experience of it. It's joke of the week time. Hold up your hats for this one. So, there are 3 moles in a tunnel. The first one says, "I can smell sugar." The second one says, "I can smell cinnamon." The third one says, "I can smell molasses." So that is the end of the show. Thank you so much for joining me this week. Hopefully this will help you. Hopefully you find it beneficial. And when someone asks you, "How are you?" you're able to say, "Focused," instead of "busy." It doesn't come naturally to us though, right? Because we think like busy is the socially acceptable thing to say these days. But hopefully this will give you a little bit of a strategy and a clear direction, or help you to clearly define your own direction of where you want to take things. So if you do have ambitions to improve your body composition, whether it's to drop fat, build muscle, get stronger, do a cartwheel, do a handstand, whatever it is you want to achieve, swim, learn to swim, whatever it is, do cold water therapy, whatever it is you want to achieve, you have a vision that you can write down, and that you can put steps in place every day that will help you get towards that. So whether it's across the month, across the year, 5 years, 10 years, where do you see yourself? But having a clear direction that you can take, so that you know you're taking the right road, and you're not going to get waylaid by saying yes to this distraction and yes to that distraction. Sometimes even saying no to good things to get to the better thing, to get to the thing that you want to get to. That's important to know as well, and to acknowledge. So you might have to say no to certain things that might seem like good opportunities, but if it's not in line with whatever the best thing, the ultimate thing you want to achieve, whether it applies to your family life, as I said, or your finances, or your health and fitness, take a clear direction. Basically, have a direction that you want to go, have a focus, be intentional, and make it happen. Hopefully it's helpful. If you do find it helpful, let me know. If you find it completely useless, let me know. I'll be back again next week, hopefully. And have a great weekend. Don't forget to train today so you can be stronger tomorrow.